family and friends. Hopefully you guys can see me. I'm down in the Sapper cave, and we always have lighting issues down here. So let's see if that's better. We're gonna do something a little bit different this morning. This is early morning before I get up and go to work. Well, I'm up and ready to go to work, but before I actually log in to do my job, quick text from Mrs. SG. We're going to review some resources today. A couple of friends of ours have asked us about books and resources that we use for gardening, and we have a lot. I'm looking now, and obviously, along with seeds, books are just something that we love and we're passionate about. We do a lot of reading. We obviously use some resources online like Mother Earth News, Wikipedia, and yeah, we're just lifelong learners, myself and Mrs. SG. But Arkansas Woodcutter and our friend Hope at Cedarholic Gardens both asked us if we could show some of the books that we use as resources for gardening here at our homestead. And they asked us several weeks ago, maybe a month, two ago, and I said, yeah, we would, but books are almost like kids. It's hard to pick out your favorites, and we don't want to do an hour-long video where we just talk about books, more books. So I tried to narrow down a few that we use a lot, especially myself. I keep most of our garden books down here in the Sapper cave, so that if I have a question, I can pick those up, or if I just feel like expanding my knowledge, I can go and refresh on something that maybe I'm a little knowledgeable about and want to be more knowledgeable about. So real quick, I'm going to go through a handful of books, maybe two handful of books that we use. And first one actually is something that was gifted to us very recently by our friend Hope at Cedarholic Gardens, who I mentioned earlier, and that's Alchemy of Herbs. And this book has such good information about a lot of the common herbs in the garden, and I'll try to hold up each book long enough for you to see the title and the author in case anybody wants to order this. And most of these you can find at Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Amazon, or you can do a Google search if it's something that's sold just by a seed company. But great information about benefits of herbs that you can use when you're planning out your garden. Not necessarily a strictly gardening book, but a great book. And the next one, which we use all the time, you can see there's a bookmark for whatever we just used it for, is Ball's Complete Book of Home Preserving. And this one we use a lot. There are other gardeners like Cheryl Organic Food Forest, Rick at Homestead Railways, Homestead Heart, that are homestead canning gurus. We do a lot of canning, but we are not experts by any means. So whenever we get ready to do something and we're not 100% sure the steps, the pressure, we bring out this book, and it's got hundreds, thousands of recipes. Last thing we canned was, oh nope, I guess Mrs. SG is reading up on the art and science of home food preservation. So very great resource for anybody who's growing their own food and wants to store it. Everyone should have this book. All the other ones are kind of, get it, don't get it. Your life won't end without it. When it comes to canning food, your life may not end without it, but it'll make your life a lot safer and make your home canning a lot more safe and enjoyable. Another book I got last year, and this is actually by a fellow content creator, a lot more successful than our channel is right now. And it's Veg in One Bed by Hugh Richards. You can go and you can look him up on YouTube. And I just love this book. From the time I got it, I tried to look at it like a new gardener, new plot holder. And this book is perfect for a new gardener, new plot holder, because it breaks things down in such easy to understand terms. And it goes through the gardening season month by month, things that you should plant. And of course things vary by gardening zone, but this breaks it down month by month. Like if you go in the month of August, it tells you, oh, these are things that you should consider planting now. If you're going to build raised beds, it gives you all the things you really need to consider before you put a raised bed together. So for new gardeners, I cannot recommend this enough. For experienced gardeners like ourselves, we're semi-experienced. We've been gardening, more than a decade, but we're not 30, 40-year gardeners like some channels are. It's still a great resource because there are things that you know and you've been doing and they work for you, and you don't really consider the concepts that go behind them, but this book really helps. Now, speaking of Hugh, another gardening resource that everybody should know is Charles Dowding's, and we got his Veg Journal. This book helps a lot because one of the things that we have not been great at is diarying our food, and it's kind of interesting that Arkansas Woodcutter asked us about some resources we have, because one of the things that the Veg Journal does, it actually gives you diaries, and I'm not one of those who likes to write in my book, so we make copies of things, so we copy different pages, so every year now we can write down what we're doing month by month, what we're harvesting, so that we have a general idea of what's working and what's not working. And Charles Dowding is just such a great mind for gardening that we look out for and we value. A few more books that we have. I say a few, but I've got a stack over here, and I'm going to go through them pretty quick. And these are a little bit more specific for different situations. Another one by Charles Dowding and Stephanie Hafferty is No Dig Gardening. And on our homestead, we're big into raised beds, edge beds. We're really getting into hugel mounds, and no dig gardening is the way that we go. We're trying to age in place, and this is a great resource for that, to show you, along with the book that Hugh put out, a great way to set up your garden. And this isn't a gardening book, so I'm going to skip that one, and get to another one that we value is organic gardening. And just great information, about fertilizers, about setting up different type gardens, setting up water features on your garden. So this is a great general purpose book if you're looking to get something and learn about organic gardening. And we wouldn't expect everybody to do like we do and go out and buy all these. These have all been bought over time. If I'm out, especially some of our thrift stores, if I'm there and I see a book on gardening or cooking, it's just a passion of ours to get books and to just learn what we can. Another great book, Backyard Herb Gardening. So, along with the Alchemy of Herbs, this is a great one. This talks a little more about, designing your herb beds, companion gardening, just lots of great details, how to propagate different herbs. So, some great recipes also for herbs, like making herb jellies. So, yeah, really good book. that we would recommend by Miranda Smith, and the last two, and then one, actually two bonus books. So a great general book, Backyard Homestead. This book is great for people like us who are on a small homestead and we're growing in our quote-unquote backyard, even though we're growing more than our backyard. It gives you information about every aspect of gardening and homesteading, raising chickens, different animals, you know, ducks for meat. I'm just flipping through here real quick. It gives you so many different aspects and considerations for being on a homestead. Some people, when they buy a home, they get that book that tells you about all the things to consider as a homeowner. This book is great for all the things you need to consider to be a homesteader, backyard gardener. It's just such a valuable resource. So, and in that same line, depending on how much property you have, where you live, this book is great also. Mini farming. We go back and forth. You know, we are on a 2-acre property, so we don't really consider ourselves a farm, but we have enough where we almost consider ourselves a mini farm. If we ever decide we want to grow food to sell at the farmers market, places like that, I'm sure that we could work it out. If we want to specialize in certain things, there are other people who are doing this. I'm not going to name names, but there are gardeners who have YouTube channels, who have put out books, who talk about, you know, farming their property, farming, you know, properties in the neighborhood and in the community. But if we ever get to that point, this book is a great resource, and this is one of the oldest books that we have as far as gardening, from the time that we got our house in Georgia and started growing in our backyard. You know, we thought about, okay, you know, what do we need? And this is a great resource. So, two more that I'm going to show you real quick. Let me go off camera for just a second, if I can find them. So, we also like to do some home brewing. So we've got a book just for our home brewing exploits. And you know, not everybody wants to be a home brewer, but if you do want to brew at home, just a great resource. If you're growing hops like we are, grapes like we are, apples, you know, peaches, and you want to do, you know, apple cider, you want to do your own beer, just a great book for that. And we have a more expansive book, but just as a quick resource for mushroom cultivation. If you're into growing mushrooms, if you thought about growing mushrooms, this book by Richard Bray is a great quick resource, you know, for growing different type mushrooms. So it's quick and easy. I do have a book that's much more encompassing about mushrooms if you just want to be knowledgeable about them, about things like that. But this book is a quick, easy resource guide. So, lots of good books. I would say these are probably 10 or so that we use a lot, and I really use, you know, because I won't say I'm the brains of the operation, but I'm the, you know, the mad thinker who's always thinking, what else can we do on the garden to have more growing space, to grow things better, differently. And yeah, all these books, they help us out in what we're doing. So, Arkansas Woodcutter, Hope at Cedar Hall Gardens. Hopefully we met the request of reviewing some books that we have, and hopefully this crazy shadow that's on my face is not driving everybody crazy like it is me. So, okay. I need to get to work. So I'm going to do as we always do and sign out. This is Rob, the Sapper Gardener, representing Essayons Family Garden. God bless our great country America. You, wherever you reside around the world, your garden, your harvest, your kitchen, your meals, and especially your family to have health, success, and prosperity. And don't be afraid to buy a book, pick it up and read it. Take care. Sapper out. Alright, where am I at? So just in case people are curious about the other mushroom resource that I mentioned, this is by Paul Stamets, who is, if you're interested in mushrooms or knowing about, you know, mycelium, mycorrhizal fungi, things like that, that's mycelium running. And I just wanted to add this in. I actually didn't grab this when I was grabbing the other books because it sits next to me over at my workstation, and you know, I won't say daily I pick it up to read through it, but I pick it up a lot just to kind of peruse and learn things. So for real this time, Sapper out.